Hey guys. So I know that the title and the thumbnail of this video might be a little antagonistic, but I just want to say this at the top of the video. I don't have beef with anybody. The point of this video is not to throw shade at the anti-haul girlies. It's not to throw shade at the beauty expose girlies. I'm not trying to create an adversarial relationship. You will see my perspective on this fleshed out in the video. But I do want to say, I come in peace. Like, that's not at all the objective for today's video. I just gotta call the videos something. I gotta title them something. And as we'll get into later, the more salty and sassy and antagonistic you are, the more people watch it. It's a whole thing. We'll get into it in a minute. But what I do want to say is, again, I ain't trying to start anything with anybody. And also, I feel like it's okay for me to have my opinion and my perspective. And if you don't like it, that's cool too. I don't want to say set in my ways about my train of thought here, but it took a long time to get here. I just want to share the perspective because I think if you are like me or been on a similar journey or feel a certain type of way about something you used to love but now you're starting to really resent it, I think maybe this video could be helpful to you. Because essentially what I want to discuss is how the beauty community went from a complete trash panda dumpster fire to, in my opinion, the best it's ever been, at least in my lifetime. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about a lot of stuff. Hopefully feelings can not get super involved. Anyway, before we get started, I want you guys to definitely make sure you thumbs up the video and subscribe if you enjoy it and you want to stick around and talk more things. Beauty culture, beauty products, skincare, hair care, body care, you name it. It's beauty over here. And with all that being said, let's dive into this. Let's quickly talk about my perspective on this, like where I'm coming from, so you can see why I feel the way that I do about things currently. But we must go back to the beginning. A very good place to begin. I have been obsessed with beauty and makeup since I was a child. I'm not kidding. I was a weird kid. Okay, just to give you guys context, I'm 38. So I was a child in the 90s and a teen in the early 2000s. I also grew up in a small town. I didn't even know that makeup outside of the drugstore or something like Clinique even existed. Had no idea it existed until I was 18. I was in Hawaii and I went to a MAC and a Sephora for the first time and just couldn't believe such things were in the world. What I did do when I was young to kind of pacify my need for all things beauty was obsessively read magazines. I'm talking, I had like this little tote bag that I took everywhere with me, and it had Teen, 17, YM, any magazine I can get my hands on at the time. I was about 9 years old when I was doing this. I would have this little tote bag full of it. Like, I would always go to the grocery store with my mama just so I could maybe talk her into buying me a magazine. I would literally, like, if I had a cool pen or a snack cake my friends wanted, if they had a magazine, I'd be like, I'll trade you. Like, I just wanted to look at it and be immersed in it so much. I wouldn't even go on to, like I said, be made aware of the potential for a career in beauty until I was at least 18. Like I said, when I went to MAC and Sephora for the first time, I was like, oh my God, there's this whole world out here. But still didn't even know that you could have a career in beauty at all outside of like literally working like on a movie set or something. I didn't know that was a thing until I was 21. Again, I know that sounds bananas to some of you if you're younger, because you've literally grown up with beauty being such a huge part of the conversation all the time. And when I say beauty, I don't mean like we need to have a bigger conversation. I'm literally just talking about the practice of it. The product, the trends, that's what I mean. People who are in my daughter's generation and younger, they've never known anything different. But I'm trying to tell y'all, it was rough out here for some of us for quite some time. I think the only real education I could even speak of surrounding makeup was like Kevin Aquan books. I used to go and buy every single time they came in stock. They were very hard to find, but I would go and buy the little Kevin Aquan books and I would stare at them and try to practice the looks. It was not cute. I'm just trying to illuminate for you that the direction I would later go on to take up almost resenting this started from a love, a passion, a curiosity. When I was 26, I went to makeup school and then I would do makeup clients for about 5 years after. So I did professional makeup, I did client work, I did brides, I did red carpet, I did just the regular girl coming to Vegas wanting to look cute at the pool, I did photo shoots, I did events, I did award stuff, I did a lot. I know that the beauty industry did not start in 2014, you guys, I know. I'm just saying, like, the chronology of events that would later go on to lead to me kind of hating the beauty thing for a while. I feel like that happened in a 5-year span. Again, it started beautifully. In 2014, I was working as a makeup artist. I had a blog. I was doing YouTube a little bit, Instagram a little bit. It was mostly just out there gigging all the time or doing photo shoots. And then simultaneously, social media is being taken over by the makeup girlies. And it just felt like the whole world, or at least from my perspective, was alive and a buzz with the conversation around beauty. It felt like there were more people like me, because I had never really met anybody like me at that point. Everyone I knew, it's not like they wanted to walk around looking like toads or anything, but they could not geek out on lip gloss the way that I could. And it finally felt like there were other people like me. It was so cool. This did go on to turn, and that's kind of where we'll start the journey of how I got to where I was and why I think it's different now. So to make things a little bit easier, I want you to think about the time period I'm speaking on. Mostly today is going to range from about 2014 to 2019. The reason 2019 is the end date here, if you will, is because a couple things happened in 2019. Number one, I became the friggin' anti-haul queen. It was like, I don't know, man. I'm not saying nobody was doing the content like that before I made it. I know not a lot of people were doing it before I started it, and I got a lot of results. Like, my channel blew up. For me, that was huge numbers I was seeing really fast, and I was getting DMs and messages from brand owners and famous makeup artists telling me that my content was like super fresh and innovative and creative, and it was doing really, really well. And I started doing that anti-haul content in 2019 because of everything that had happened for about the 5 years prior. So in 2019, I have this huge boom in anti-haul content in terms of getting new followers and getting my name out there. And it was also pre-pandemic. So that's why the end date is gonna be roughly 2019 and the beginning is gonna be 2014. So we're gonna talk mostly about those 5 years right there, because I think they're crucial to understand why I think things are so much better now. 2014 is when we start seeing kind of the ABH of it all. The contour palettes are coming out. We're seeing a lot of highlighters are starting to roll out. The momentum is picking up. The brands are really keeping their finger on the pulse of the social media world. Wasn't the case before. I know that sounds crazy to y'all, but brands once upon a time used to get to set the tone for what we were doing. Now it's the other way around. Now, as long as enough people on the internet find something valuable or interesting, brands then have to work to keep up, essentially. They have to stay caught up with us, not the other way around. So when I'm seeing this huge shift happening in 2014, like I said, it was very exciting. And that excitement really started to waver for me once we got about to 2017. Because at this point, man, Morphe is a thing. I need not say anymore. And the codes, oh my God, the freaking codes. I could not stand the code shit. That was driving me crazy. Felt like this thing that I had loved for so long had been perverted. And now it was no longer about educating people or connecting with each other or releasing interesting products or content. It was about use my code, use my code, use my code, use my code. I guess what I want to clarify is I'm not, again, begrudging anyone making their money, because I think that is one of the things the beauty community kind of did to my head in a negative way, is it made me fearful of making money, because the beauty community treated influencers who were making a lot of money as if they must be lying, they must be scamming, they must have negative intentions. And to be fair, some of them did and do. And that's what I mean when I say I feel like it got perverted, because it was really clear that these influencers who, in my opinion, some of them were really overqualified to be teaching on YouTube or talking about makeup on YouTube. I was surprised they weren't doing like red carpet stuff or having a much bigger name in that respect. But then there were a lot of people who I was like, why is anyone buying stuff this person talks about? Like, they are obviously not good at makeup, number one. Number two, they're very shameless about their social climbing, money bag chasing shit. And third of all, the products they're talking about are boring and redundant, and we've seen it. And it was way too much. I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll leave my anti-haul playlist down below if y'all just want to hear me go point by point at the time what was driving me so crazy. Like I said, I'm just trying to illuminate for y'all that by the time we get to the anti-haul of it all, when I started doing that content, I had lost my love of makeup and beauty. Every time I saw a new release or a new creator, I was like, what do you want to sell me? What money of mine do you currently want? That's how it felt. And then as a result of all these brands putting out so much stuff all the time, the quality of the brands and the launches and the collections was severely lacking. It was totally phoned in. It was more about how much can we release? And again, I understand the mathematics behind this and the motivations and the benefits to be found in all parties participating in this era. I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to get on my high horse and be like, and therefore I'm better than all of you. It's more like, I think there was a lesson I needed to learn here, which we'll get into in a minute. But anyway, I just remember 2019 rolling around, and at this point I'm doing YouTube pretty much full time. And I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. I keep buying this stuff because it seems like that's what I'm supposed to do to have a career in makeup, is I need to constantly be buying things. I need to constantly talk about it. Everything has to have rave reviews because I need to stay on the good side of these brands or these other influencers. And I just felt so stifled and bored and ripped off because, like I said, I know for a fact, I mean, not for a fact, but I'm not a dumb person whatsoever. I can tell that a lot of these people who were pushing the stuff they were pushing, it was a quantity over quality game. How many times can I get a code put out on a video? How many releases can I talk about and get a kickback from affiliate? Like, it was so clear that was the point of it. And again, I was bored to death with it. And by 2019, late 2018, early 2019, when I set the intention to go on a no-buy and spend not $1 on makeup for a whole year, it was not a difficult decision for me because it was either I stop talking about makeup this way or I'm really just gonna, I can't do it anymore. I remember saying that a lot. Like, I can't do this anymore because I started to hate it. I started to resent it. This thing that literally for my whole life up until that point that I just could eat, sleep, breathe, talk about all the time. Now I was like cynical, full-blown cynical sister. I just hated it. And then 2019 came and my anti-haul content blew up and I got to sit there and get a lot of attention for talking shit all day. I was telling my daughter that the other day. We were talking about social media and like things I want to do or how I want to do it. And I was like, people like it when I talk shit. That's something that I've learned. Like when I'm being like positive Whitney and I'm so happy and everything's awesome, like, it's fine. It's when I talk shit that people really like it. However, that's not me specific. That's everyone specific. Again, we will get there. I spent about 8 months, 8, 9, 10 months talking at least once or twice a week about everything I did not like about makeup and beauty. That was my job. That was what people wanted from me. And I got really caught up in that. I liked that people were listening to me. I liked feeling seen in this space. And there were parts of that content I did enjoy because studying marketing really forced you to study human psychology, which I'm endlessly fascinated by. A little bit of history was in there too. Like, I got to learn a lot of cool things at that time. I made some cool creator friends. Like, there was a lot of positives to that. Absolutely. Don't let me whine. But what I am trying to say is it forced me to basically be a professional hater. long story short. And I remember when I first started doing the anti-haul content, people kept being like, you're so negative. Like, it was something I got a lot. And I just felt like, how am I being negative just because I have a different opinion? It was really frustrating for me. Almost made me dig my heels in more and want to shit talk even harder. It was an interesting year. Now, I did say that whole year 175,000 times that I was doing this no-buy for 1 year and I was out. I didn't want to make it a lifestyle. I really wanted a palette cleanse. I wanted the conversation around beauty to be a little bit different. I just did. I was thirsty for it, and a lot of other people were because, like I said, that series did really well. And I have since seen tons of other people go on to have huge careers. Think that once it became okay for that conversation to happen, because like I said, when I first started, I was just, people were constantly telling me I was negative and I'm a hater and this, that, and the third. It's almost like that conversation was now on the table, or more people felt more comfortable having it. Because prior to that, like I said, the name of the game was you got to stay on the good side of all these brands and all these influencers. Like, it was a whole thing. Now, simultaneously, as this is happening, 2019 is when I've decided to have a no-buy. This is also when, like, Dramageddon Part 2, Buy Sister, Morphe, like, all this shit is happening. The beauty community is getting raked over the coals in, like, regular traditional media. My best friend, who I was teaching and telling kind of about the beauty community, or telling her about the ins and outs of it and how it works, she couldn't believe it. She was like, this is like a reality show. It had completely lost the plot. There was no more value, in my opinion, for the actual beauty of it all, to talk about the good side of it. It felt like there was too much negative shit to talk about. And again, because for me, that content was doing so well, I felt like I had to talk negatively about it. And in order to talk negatively about something, you have to think negatively about it first. 2019, like I said, is right before the pandemic. And at that point, not only are the products shitty, but in my opinion, the makeup looks were kind of shitty too. Like, it was just more is more all the time. We're talking like double winged liner, halo cut crease eye look with chrome highlighter, matte lips, like, not to mention the major influencers at that time. I think some of them have been treated really unfairly. And I also think some of them really made their own beds. But a lot of them, whether they had good intentions or nefarious intentions, they were stunting on all of us. They were really ostentatious and aggressive about making sure we knew they were cleaning up financially. They wanted us to know. And I think a lot of people got touchy about that. Like, it was just this little like pressure cooker that was getting ready to explode. And some people would argue it already had by the time 2019 was closing. Like, things were already not looking good for a lot of us. Then 2020 came around and we all know what happened there. It changed everything. Not only did it change everything for us on our day-to-day lives, but it has changed the beauty community. The stats reflect it forever. And that's why I think we are now in the best timeline. Do you guys ever watch Community, the darkest timeline? This is the opposite of that. This is the brightest timeline. Here's why. Once we get into 2020 and things are changing, people are just not buying makeup like they used to because they're mostly sitting at home. They're stuck in the house, and if they're not stuck in the house, they're stuck behind a mask. That caused the conversation of beauty to shift from so makeup focused, because it was, dude. It was all makeup all the time. Every once in a while, the girlies would drop the skincare routine, but it was makeup was ruling the world for a while. Once we get to 2022, that has changed. And now skincare is ruling the world because that's all everyone's in the house. Well, I need to do something, I'll do my skincare. And I feel like we saw skinfluencers really pop off then. And they had a good reign for a while. I would argue they're still here, but there's always like that peak point. And then there's everything after. I feel like the skinfluencer peak point came and went. And I feel like all these different kind of offshoots of the beauty community are coming and going way faster because the internet is moving way faster. Even from the beauty conversation going off of YouTube and onto micro content has changed that. A YouTube video is kind of labor intensive. Like, I gotta turn these lights on. I gotta get a little script going. Like, we gonna be here for 20, 30 minutes for me to talk. So it takes a lot more time to get it out and to get the message across. Micro content, man, you need like 4 seconds to talk about something. So everything's moving faster now, which should be leading to things getting worse again, but I don't feel like it is. And we'll talk about why my perspective is the way it is so specifically momentarily. What I will say is, it's been kind of cool to see it go from skinfluencers. Then we had the clean girl, that girl thing, I feel like was pretty soon after the skinfluencers. I feel like they are a byproduct of each other. No, I feel like the clean girl aesthetic and the that girl thing is a byproduct of the skinfluencers, because once the skinfluencers came, it's not like makeup. Makeup is real easy to take a photo and like show the people what you're working with. Skin is different. It's hard to sell someone a skincare product because you can't see it. All you can do is try to sell them on the experience of it, the long-term results and benefits of it. I guess what I'm saying is, once people had to start creating skincare content, especially micro content, you can tell the selfies changed. Like, I'm talking 2014 is the era of the Resi styled selfie. People were going out, myself included, and buying whole ass cameras just for their selfies. Hello, Sony A6, X600, whatever. We were all doing it. And it was like the ring light of it all and get that frosty highlighter. It just stopped being that way. Pretty abruptly come 2020, because then again, like I said, the skincare girlies are ruling the world. They don't want to pile on 10,000 pounds of makeup to take a skin selfie because that would defeat the purpose. So things are getting a lot more, I call it the squinty pictures because I've tried to take them and I just can't do it. When the girls are getting right up in the window with golden hour and it's just their face is totally blown out. So it's really clean and fresh looking. That in of itself, when I started seeing that happen, I was like, oh, okay, shit's about to change. Because again, the pandemic had forced us to change several things about the way we lived our lives and how we interacted with beauty, but also Gen Z was coming up, and if it's one thing a Gen Z doesn't want to do, it's anything a millennial ever did. So the whole thing was changing. So it went skincare girly, then we had the clean girl thing. It may be happening at the same time, but also kind of happening shortly thereafter. The furthest departure humanly possible from what we had been seeing in the beauty world from 2014 to 2019. It changed hard, and it changed for the better. Even if you roll back to my 2019 beauty videos when I was still, doing anti-haul stuff and I was still doing tutorials, I kept making points to you guys that I've since heard a lot of other people make. The point that I used to always try to make people was like, y'all can't do your makeup like influencers. You're gonna go out in the real world and look crazy. Like, it's a bunch of lighting. It's real heavy what these ladies are teaching y'all to do. You can take it back a notch, adjust it to fit your real life more. Like, that conversation of how to make beauty more accessible and realistic for you, for me, had been going on for a while. Like, it had been in my brain, and I would have clients come sit in my chair looking crazy, asking for stuff, or I'd be at Ulta and see girls in the wild looking crazy. Like, I knew that this needed to change. I'm glad it finally did. Only problem is, for a time, especially I would say maybe around 2022, maybe 3, I was getting a little sick of the clean girl thing. I am still a little sick of it, but it's always an extreme. You know, 2014, 2019, we were literally using drag queen makeup techniques. And there's nothing wrong with drag queens, I'm not saying anything about that, but drag queens paint for the back row. That's what they're doing. They're on stage under heavy lights. They're having to completely restructure their faces into something new. And to let beauty YouTube circa 2014 to 2019 tell you that's what everyone needs to do, it's not universally flattering whatsoever. I was really happy to see this change happen with the beauty community and seeing more natural, fresher looks coming into vogue, because again, wasn't the case for a while. So anyway, now we're on clean girl. Then next thing I know, and this is not a perfect succession, I'm actually working on something where I can really like get into this with you guys. I'm just talking off the top of the dome to try to make a point, so I'm sorry if you're like, actually, just so you know, after the skincare girlies, it was the nail polish girlies. I'm just telling you, like, top of my head what I remember. But clean girl was a whole brand that I feel like we're still trying to work our way out of. Then we did hair. I feel like hair had a really big moment. Abby Young, hello, we're looking at you, girl. You done saved all our lives. The hair videos became a big thing. You know, the Dyson Airwrap of it all. Then we moved on to, or what I feel like we're doing now, meaning more recently and, you know, currently, but maybe there's gonna be another phase coming. Now it feels like it's body care and perfume especially. The fragrance girlies are having their moment. It is their time to shine. What I'm trying to say is the pivot or the expansion of the conversation around beauty from just effing makeup all the time already is making me happy as a clam, because I do like makeup. Don't get me wrong, I'm an addict. I'm a makeup addict. I love it. It's like everything about it. I love brand stories. I love beautiful makeup looks. I love the technique. I love the meditative process of putting it on. I love it. But girl, I also love body care and skincare and fragrance. Like, I love it all. There's just things I'm not as well educated in. Like, I can tell you all day about makeup formulations. I filmed a video early today doing a body care haul with a lot of perfume in it. And I was just like, I don't know how to describe this. I don't have the vocabulary. I don't know these notes. Like, I'm ignorant to it, highly so. But I still feel like I can participate. I still feel excited to talk about it and learn about it. And I have not felt this way. I could get emotional. It's really dramatic that I could get emotional about this, but this is kind of the point I'm trying to make in this video. It's like, I want to talk about how great the beauty industry is and how far we've come, but I also want to like give you guys kind of a life lesson right now. Stick with me. I like the inclusivity conversations. I like that brands, from what I can tell, and I've been trying to make sure I know what I'm talking about, but from what I can tell, it truly seems like brands either are super aware of the bubble burst, so they're not willing to take the L and churn out releases just to get no ROI, or they have realized that what's actually going to make them stand out now is not 1,000 new releases because of the anti-haul girlies throwing all their shade. Hello, we need to thank them and me. You're welcome, everyone. That definitely serves a place, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You can't just be bullshitting people anymore, because we will call you out on it. As a result, I think brands are releasing more staples. They're bringing out products that are actually impressive, interesting, innovative, fun to try, things you're gonna repurchase over and over again. It's not gonna be some cheap little thing like, oh, everyone's releasing root beer makeup, so I gotta get a root beer eyeshadow palette. It's like, no, this new concealer is incredible. It's the staples. We needed good staples for a long time before now. It was a lot of this. I mean, to be fair, it still is a lot of the same shit. That's how beauty trends work. But I feel like what we're seeing is just done better. It's done more thoughtfully, and therefore the releases are more exciting. So much more exciting, because you're pretty sure if you buy something now, it's gonna be good. I feel like back then, absolutely not. It was I wouldn't even say a 50-50 chance. It was like 30-70. Is this gonna be any good? Because I never knew. Everybody was suckling the teat somewhere too hard. People were too scared to speak out and say something isn't good. It's not the case anymore. People will tell you, and I think it has served us well. If you guys are watching me talk about this and you're like, Whitney, what the are you talking about, man? It's just as bad as it's ever been. If it is, I am blissfully ignorant to that, because I've chosen to be. I have curated, and I've been telling you guys this for years, you need to curate your social media in such a way that you don't even relate to this concept that people are constantly talking about of like social media is ruining your life. I see that all the time. So many video essayists. TikTok is ruining your life. Beauty gurus are ruining your life. Like, I don't relate to that because I don't give anything in my life that kind of power. The point I'm trying to make is simply this. Content creators now, the ones that I engage with, the ones that I follow, are very exciting to me. A lot of pro makeup artists, people who work very closely, like in labs. The lipstick lesbians on Instagram and TikTok are a great example of what I mean. They have so much knowledge about this that is super exciting for me to learn about. And again, it's not something we had back in the day. Back in the day, 2014, 2019, anybody could get up here and just be like, this is great product. Nah, man. People now, like a Pin Smith skincare, she'll pull up the ingredient deck and be like, this what this does, this what this does, this what this, like, you just can't pull shit over on people anymore. The influencers or beauty creators that I follow, I'm happy to see them. I don't feel like they're shilling to me all the time. I feel like they have a true passion and interest and investment in this. And that alone is a big shift from the people that I would have considered the big beauty gurus back in the day. If there are other people out here still sucking at life on the content creation scale, I don't know about it because I don't engage with it and I never will. And that's how we're going to get into the cautionary tale portion of this video. Going back to what I said before, 2014 to 2019, slowly but surely, one of the most exciting eras in beauty for me personally, like I said, 2014, it died big time. Like when the mask fell off, boy, did it make a thump. I was so just past the point of cynicism. And let's just go ahead and iron this out real quick too. When I think back on how I used to create content and what I used to talk about and how I used to talk about it, it's not that I think I was full of shit too, but I knew what I was doing after a certain point. It was real clear to me how easy it is to get on the internet and say you don't like something and get famous for it or get followers. It's very easy. Like if you want to start a YouTube channel today, that's what you got to do. All you need to do is find a trending area on the internet. For example, I recently found out book talk people are making like videos because the algorithm keeps serving them to me. I keep saying, not interested, not interested. Don't show me shit like this. I know there's been a large conversation with book talk about how it's ruined reading. I don't even care to know what they're talking about when they say that because it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. For the fact that the printing and publishing industry was basically in the toilet. People were not reading. I've been reading consistently. I'm a bookworm. So all I know is I've always read. And people would always respond interestingly to, you read? How do you find time to read? I can't remember the last time I read a book. Like I've heard that my whole life. I'm just a big reader. When this conversation starts kind of percolating around me, again, I'm not invested in it because I don't give it energy, but I start seeing content come out talking about book talk is the worst thing to ever. I could not believe it, but I also could. I couldn't believe it because I can't imagine a world where we're going to make the argument that reading is bad and that you can ruin it. Now, I already know, like I know, the argument is consumerism, but it really rubbed me the wrong way because I knew what the people who make that content are doing. I know what you're doing, y'all. I've done it. Did it really well. I know that all you have to do is take a trending topic that everyone loves, something people are really excited about, and find a way to make it negative. Because what you're gonna do is you'll get viewers who watch it simply because they want to start shit in the comment section, or they are cynical and naysayers and contrarians too, so they want to come join in on the shit party. Or you have people who want to defend the position, like defend the thing you're shit talking. So in this case, it would be booktube, right? It's an easy way to get eyes because disgust or anger is like one of the most easily available human emotions. We're much more in touch with those types of emotions than we are joy and happiness most often. I think there is something to be said for recognizing when something we love is getting torn down by social media and how complicit we are in that. Because look, again, I do believe the anti-haul girlies, the tea channels, all y'all. We have all y'all to thank for getting us all the way together on this beauty side of shit. It really did clean the streets up a little bit. The problem is, like with everything, too much of it is no good. So obviously hyper consumerism and buying too many books and buying too many body scrubs is like not the best idea for most people and can have devastating effects for you financially, mentally. Hoarding is a thing. I get it. I've made all these arguments myself. I know them like the back of my hand. But there is something to be said for too much friggin' negativity around something, especially if you are trying to capitalize on that negativity. And even then, I think we have to be aware of ourselves in these moments. Because like, I think I was trying to make a point earlier and I went off on a tangent, but let me circle back to it. It's not that I think I was full of shit when I was saying all the things that I said, but the few times I have gone back and watched those videos, I cringe a lot. I cringe a lot. There's a very judgmental, holier than thou, I have all the answers, you're too dumb not to have figured this out. If you buy into this, there's a very there's an energy to it, is what I will say. And for some people, I think they can stay in that energy and it not really affect them negatively. I apparently am not one of those people, because if I wanted to, I could have kept anti-haul in forever. I could still be sitting here right now, and I guarantee the thumbnail has this face in it because I know it works, but I could have kept doing that. There's no limit to the bad things you can find about something. I know it's a successful way to make money on the internet. I've seen it, I've done it, I know. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I still see a lot of this kind of anti-haul, everything sucks content around the beauty industry. I don't see it as much. And when I say see, I mean it's being served to me. Again, I don't watch or engage with it. But every time I see it, I'm just like, hey, so tired. I don't know, like I said, I think some people can move in and out of that energy very easily and have a sense of humor about the stuff they rant and rave about. I'm not like that, man. That's why I couldn't do the 2019 anti-haul shit anymore. Yeah, we're still doing it. It's still happening. It will always happen. Nara Smith and a few of the girls on TikTok and Instagram, not even just girls, people who are doing cooking videos, just cooking because they like to cook. I like to cook and I like to watch those. I've seen videos from people coming out talking about everything wrong with Nara Smith, everything wrong with the chefs on Instagram. There's just a way, y'all. It's a thing. The same way we can step back and be critical of the mass releases from beauty companies, the marketing techniques that they use to suck you in, you can look at content creators through the same lens. Now, again, I have nothing against the anti-haul girlies. It's not my point. Again, we have a lot to thank them for. And also, I will make the case for the fact that if you do not have something sassy to say every once in a while, you do not offer an alternative perspective to all your raves and must-have lists and here's 20 products you need to buy. If you do not balance that out with some honest, no, this didn't work for me. I don't like this. I don't get the hype. You do need to do that. People will not trust you if you're a constant commercial. I get it. That's not the argument I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to say it needs to be sunshine and rainbows all the time. My good Judy Shallon Lester made a point in a video I saw not too long ago where she was talking about how easy it is to be in an extreme. Because people in the middle, moderates, they're forced to have to basically boot up the old computer multiple times a day or whatever to kind of assess a situation. And in this case, we'll use beauty. I could look at this product, it's just a little body splash from Sol de Janeiro, and if I'm in my extreme anti-haul phase, I can come up with 50 reasons why this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life and why anyone who likes it just needs to educate themselves more or whatever the F. The other extreme, the teat-sucking 2015, 2016 influencer side of me could easily come up with 50 reasons why not only do you need this, but if you don't get this, you're missing out. Oh my gosh, you're missing out. You can't miss out. Those are extremes. Somewhere in the middle, we calculate and make our decisions based on so many different factors. We don't want to put things in these extremes. Again, it takes more energy to be in the middle. And I think that's where I am. And I think that's why, I know the video is this is the best, which is an extreme, right? The best and the worst, those are both extremes. I'm calling it the best, like I said, for a multitude of reasons. It's the types of beauty releases that are coming out. It's the quality of them. It's the different conversations. Again, it's not just makeup anymore. It's skincare, hair, body care, fragrance. We're talking about it all. I think that's beautiful. I think that's wonderful. I think the quality of content creators has improved infinitely. That's why I say that. But I also know that if you are deeply entrenched in the negative extreme, you probably think the makeup game is still shit. You probably think the beauty game is still shit. And I guess you would be right because you only know what you're paying attention to and what you're seeing. Perception is reality always. I will say cautionary tale status, right? What happened to me when I took on that position wasn't good. Now, a lot of things happened in a pretty small period of time. There's a lot of shit going on in my life behind the scenes. So I can't be like, it was anti-haul content. It was horrible. You had to be there. I get PTSD. That's not what I'm trying to say. I will say that makeup and beauty was a safe haven for me. It was a place I liked to go to play and have fun and connect and get in my feminine energy vibe and just feel creative and inspired and excited. Once things got to the point where, again, for a period of time, it was my job to look at this stuff automatically with disdain, and the more disdainful perspective I could have, the more negativity I could find in something, the better the video was gonna do. That will mess with your head. When the algorithm rewards something that doesn't necessarily feel good to do. And that's part of, like I said, why I stopped doing it. it wasn't just, you know, the pandemic of it all. It wasn't just that my mother died. It was also that every time I sat down to make one of those videos, I just felt bad in my spirit. It's the same thing that happens when you talk about a good thing versus a bad thing. Like, it actually affects you. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you agree or disagree with me on this perspective, technically you're right. I will say, if you actually want to love beauty again, if you actually want things to be fun again, you're really gonna have to monitor your exposure to it. That's why I keep saying, if it's still bad, I don't even know. I figured out how to completely mute all that stuff. I don't need to hear everyone's anti-haul stuff. I don't need to hear who's getting exposed. Like, it doesn't actually serve me in any way. I have enough street smarts in this beauty game now to kind of know when something's full of bullshit. I understand some people aren't there yet, so it is a good thing that people are trying to make sure it stays front of all of our minds. Like, we're never going back to 2018, don't even ask. Like, I get it. But if you're like me and you want that love back for it, for anything, if it's booktube, book talk, and you're tired of hearing people shit talk book talk and you're getting caught up in that little drama circle, or if it's the cooking, or if it's beauty, whatever it is, you're gonna have to limit your exposure to that too. You just are. Again, that requires a bit of the moderate kind of position. You want to follow and stay in touch with a certain amount of influencers because you want to know what's going on. You want to know the new techniques, the new trends, but you also don't want to just be blindly buying shit all the time, because to hear them tell it, everything's great, buy it all, you know, but you also don't want to just stay in the beauty community just to stay in the part where everyone hates it. Like, it's such an interesting thing. I just wanted to share this because I know y'all been watching my videos this year like, bitch, how much more money can you spend on makeup and beauty? I lost 2 years of my life due to some mental health stuff going on. I basically have been in a cave for 2 years, and I get to come out, and because my spirit has been recharged from having basically 2 years off, not to mention the beauty community shifted, I had kind of a break from all of it. All these things have kind of converged on one another to create a perspective on beauty that I have now, where I am excited and bountiful and stoked about it. But if you only know me from 2019, you're probably like, what is she doing? You've just seen a different version of me lately, I think, and I want to explain why. So I hope you guys are having an amazing day. I actually have some beauty deep dives coming that are not anti-haul content. So if you want to hang out and talk beauty again, what I mean is, like, a lot of my content this year has been reviews, demoing, recommendations, but if you want to, like, discuss again, I got some for you. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. I hope you guys are having an amazing day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.